Welcome to another week of Miiverse drawings. This week I will be covering pixel art. You may be questioning yourself, well, what is pixel art? And forgive me for some of the moving here, but I haven't quite found the setup that works for me yet. Scrolling through some of my stuff real quick. It's probably pretty far down. Pixel art, where it looks like old sprites from games, like old games like Super NES, NES, stuff like that, where the object is created out of boxes that are pixels. Technically, in Miiverse, you wouldn't do one pixel equal one actual pixel because then it would be way too small. So here, I'll cover sizes in a few moments here, but basically we'll be covering art like this. There are a couple different ways to do it. This particular piece was free-handed. Basically, I set in my mind the size I wanted. Was it 3 pixels by 3 pixels or whatever to count as a pixel in my art piece, and just counted. Started from one area and counted and just went around. Easy to make mistakes, but it's doable. The next one is to actually create a grid on the screen itself and go from there. Unless you have the time and patience to draw the whole grid, it's a pain. I'm in the process of actually doing a, let me go back for a second, in the process of doing a drawing process for my newest creation just a few moments ago, for the wart. That will cover more information that you might need. In the meantime, let's just go ahead and get into the process. Here's our working area. It's the same 320 by 120 that the gamepad has. The only thing here is the grid is created, but it doesn't fill the whole area, and that was on purpose. I didn't think we needed the whole area, and I wasn't entirely sure what image I would be using for this, so I filled it up. Obviously, it's a lot easier in Photoshop than it would be on the gamepad, so when you're working on the gamepad, it's probably wise to know what you're working on before you start working, to kind of only make the areas that you need if the grid process takes you a while. So actually, let's go here and tile them so that we can see both our working image and our working area. This grid is at 100%, so we're going to zoom in. So basically, if you don't count the black lines, the area that I've created internally is what, 3 by 3, I recall, right? Yeah, 3 by 3. So here we are going to draw a Pikachu. I've already done all the steps, so I'm going to turn on layers and turn them off as I go to kind of give you an idea. What you'll need to do is choose a spot on your pixel art and choose an area that you want to start on your grid. Whether you want to show the whole thing or not within your working area is up to you. You may only want to do a portion of it, like if I wanted to, I could do just the top of Pikachu, maybe cut that and then just draw that and above in the box. The way I've got it set up now is I'll be able to draw a Pikachu in this whole working area. If your pixel sizes are larger, like if you were to do 5 by 5 or something larger, you would have less room to work in, so you may not be able to get your full picture in there. You'll need to take a look at the size of your sprite art to see. But once drawn, here's Pikachu within the box. I decided to go with working on the right side so it looks like he's run across to give it some motion. Once you've drawn Pikachu, you'll need to erase the outside box, unless you plan on doing like another picture within, then by all means continue drawing, adding other things. Once you are done, however, with the whole working area, then what you'll need to do is to erase the stuff that you don't need, obviously, to clear it up, give you a better idea, and it's not going to be needed. So let's take a look here. Here, if you don't plan on to do anything extra, you can delete the internal boxes from Pikachu as well. This, however, is the simple version of it. Let's see here. On this particular piece, I'm going to do a bit more than just leave it as is. Obviously, he's missing things like his cheek and his stripes and stuff. I'm going to take that step by step. The basic stuff will be what I just mentioned. The thing is you're going to need some textures for your image. And what do I mean by textures? I mean, let's turn this on here. Okay, each block is exactly the block that appears within Pikachu, the pixel. What I mean by texture is something done within the box to make it to not be just white. So as you can see here, I've got positives on the left side and the negatives of what I just did on the right side. There are many ways to do this. These are not the only ones. In fact, some of these here on the left I got, I guess, less creative with, because I decided to just use letters like I, H, C, L, O, T, just to see how it would look. If we scroll out, let's see. That's what the textures will look like when you are scrolled out. Obviously, you'll be able to read some of those, so it might not work. However, some of the negatives may work out better for you because, give me a sec, because they're a little less noticeable of what they are. Use your imagination. I mean, there are different ways, like, I did the basic horizontal, vertical, checkerboard, cross. So there are many different things. It also depends on the size of your box as to how much you can do within the box. But be creative, come up with things that maybe just fit your particular pixel art now that maybe you've not seen. There's a lot of choices to do depending on how much work area you've given yourself in terms of the pixels themselves. The basic looks like this. So let's turn this off. This is as if I had left it with just the basic things that I've done and remove the lines within Pikachu. So Pikachu has his cheek and his stripes. Obviously the lighter I left a little longer and darker on the darker parts to kind of make it stand out. Let's take a look at it if we were at 100%. Okay, so some textures, nothing special, nothing amazing, but it's enough to get started. And I'm not saying the textures I used are exactly what would work or should work or anything. This is just an example. But let's see here. So that's if we had left it simple. So let's go ahead and turn on some more advanced stuff, or not, should I say advanced, but as if I was taking all these light areas and these dark areas and adding them to Pikachu. Not necessary. You could have probably just added some kind of texture within Pikachu to kind of make sure he stands out, because he's not white. You'd want the white box here to stay white because it's actually white. So giving Pikachu a texture would probably be better, but not you don't have to, I should say. But let's add the more detailed features, and you'll see that he's got some dark areas. I removed the lines between the light areas to make it stand out more. It kind of, when I left the lines in it, it got lost between these and the white space, so I felt it was better to remove the lines themselves to keep it separated. It's almost kind of like when you look at this paint by numbers type thing. You've got the circle. I messed up there, but that should be in the middle there. Let's do that real quick. And so basically the dots in the middle for the yellow, and the minuses for the darker areas, and basically that's it. I mean, pretty simple, and if we look at it 100%, it has more texture. You can see the darker spots and the lighter spots, so it gives it something more to go with. It really depends on, again, your pixel size, whether it's 3x3 or 5x5 or whatever, but remember, it has to stay true, so it has to, if you're gonna do 3 pixels in length, you also have to do 3 pixels in height. It has to stay the same. Depending on the area you have to work with may depend on how easier this is. I'm working on the wart, as I said earlier, for the drawing process that'll probably come out after this video. The thing with that is I don't draw full grid, because that would take more time than drawing the actual thing itself, because, well, depends on how steady of a hand you have. But I don't have very steady hand, and it can become more complicated than it really needs to be, so a lot of it depends on your own work. I'll get into that more when that comes up, because I took pictures as I went through the process, so I should be able to explain it a little bit better. But this is basically Pikachu in a nutshell when you do your grid and stuff. I guess theoretically, if you want it, you could remove the boxes themselves, but leave things like this, the minuses and stuff, intact. It really, I guess, depends on the look that you're going for, which can vary. I mean, I didn't, on my wart one that I showed earlier, I didn't do a whole lot, but a lot of it was doing for drawing process to kind of the drawing process to tie in to this video, but also to give myself practice, because it's really only the second one I've done, and before I got into it, I wanted to kind of have maybe a better idea of what to say with this particular video. But in the meantime, that's it in a nutshell. I didn't want to bore you watching me fill all that in, but basically, once you have the box, obviously you won't have the fill tool, but you'll just fill in each square. Each pixel, I say, which is your own created pixel by whatever area you chose, represents this one. So it's not one-to-one, but the idea is there that you're recreating it at a larger scale. So that's pretty much pixel art in a nutshell. There are other things that you could do, probably more advanced things. I don't get overly into that, mainly because I want to introduce folks to things like that, the basics. I'm sure you could come up with your own more advanced techniques, or find others who are willing to discuss that. Also, if you have any questions about anything, or curious about anything, I can look into it if I don't already know about it. The thing is pixel art also requires some creativity depending on what you're doing, how detailed you want to get and all. But, I mean, I guess that should be said for art in general. It's all about using your imagination and being creative and coming up with solutions to problems that you have. There are a lot of pixel art folks art on Miiverse. I'm going to show a quick one here to kind of give you an idea of what is possible on Miiverse. Let's go to activity feed. And this guy has been featured by Wii U Art Shay already. But let's... here we go. His name is Machine3K, but his Nintendo ID is Machine3000. So I'm just going to give you a quick scroll through to kind of give you an idea of what is possible when you can be creative and come up with interesting ways of getting your color, quote unquote, within images. But I usually, for this video, have used the word texture. And he's even done multiple ones. He's got a lot of this, but it's really cool to look at. And I don't want to ruin all his art, so I'll leave some to the imagination so that you can go out and explore not only his work, but others as well. And so that's it for this week. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, if you have any questions or comments or anything, make sure to leave a comment or send me a message or however you'd like to go about it. Thanks for watching.